got some problems that you wanna solve? Then let's chat. That job getting on your nerves, then let's chat. Girl, you know I can relate, so let's chat. Cause I'ma tell you what the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. What the bottom line is. What the bottom line is.
I'ma tell you what the bottom line is. Hey everybody, it's your girl Cece, and we are back for another episode of The Bottom Line Is. And I am so excited, as always, for all of my episodes. This month's topic is leveling up requires letting go. So we're going to let that sink in and, keep talking about it for everything. But today's topic that we have Selena here for is you can't grow and be comfortable. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, let that sink in. I know everybody's minds is going right now. So, give us that first thought that you're feeling in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you haven't already, make sure that you like, subscribe, and again, comment throughout so we can respond. So, Selena, tell the people who you are, what do you do, and then I'll give a little bit about the story of how we met.
Yes, of course. Well, like you said, my name is Selena. I am the founder of Inspire Her Collective. I'm very passionate about helping women heal from church hurt, trauma, and also grief. And so what we do is we have a 16-week counseling group. We counsel women. I bring on different guest speakers, licensed practitioners to kind of like talk with them. And then after 16 weeks, we do a one-on-one where we do your aftercare, whatever it is, whether it's physical, spiritual, or emotional care that you need. We get you connected to that. Then we have our annual event every year. So I'm just really passionate about helping women. I am a nonprofit founder, an evangelist, all put into one. Because when people hear evangelism, they think I'm on the street passing things out. And it's like, no, there's other forms of evangelism.
No, you're right. That is so I'm glad that you cleared that up. Yes. But I love that. And I love that, a lot of programs like yours that you hear out there, they don't have that continuum of care.
Yeah.
It's just, I got treated
And then
I
that's
hope
it.
you're healed, and if something else occurs, then come back and see me. And so I love that you, keep in touch because that's what people, need. And I'll kind of tie that into how we met. One of my friends, Sade, she is a licensed therapist, and you all may remember she was on my season 1, and we were talking about grief. And she is a master in talking about grief. And
definitely.
her and Selena connected, and Sade and I have been friends for years. And this is kind of like a continuation, but again, leveling up that grief conversation. Is so, Selena and I worked together at Sade's event, Her Bloom. I'm sure she's going to make that an annual event.
Yeah,
so
definitely. I'm going to encourage her.
For that. Yes. So that'll be always around Mother's Day. So stay tuned for that, or make sure you follow Sade. So there we go. Day-to-day counseling. There you go. All right. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Do you agree that you can't grow and be comfortable at the same time?
I think that's impossible because when you plant a seed, you have to water the seed. Sometimes you got to give the seed food. You definitely got to give the seed love, or it's not going to grow. So how are you going to plant something and just let it sit?
Yeah.
It's the same thing in the Bible with the story of the talents. He gave 1 talent to one person because that one person was focused on the other people with 2, 3, 4 talents. He went and hid his 1 talent in the ground.
Wow.
And then tried to come back and say, I know you did well. I just wanted to hide my 1 talent because I didn't want to waste your time. Sir, I gave you something to do with, and you planted it, and that was it. You can't level up unless you're willing to water your growth.
Mm-hmm. And that just reminded me as I was listening an episode that we had earlier on in the season called Faith versus Fear.
Ooh.
And, again, I know people look at that as a cliche statement, but that's the thing, that we stifle ourselves because we block our blessings and growth because it's uncomfortable, but we don't realize that God is trying to take us out that box, and expose us to different things. And we're blocking that. So life is going to continue to get uncomfortable
It is.
until we realize what God is really trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
People will
yeah.
find themselves in a cycle. You're going to
Mhm.
keep trying to do all these different things that you love and you might be good at. But if it's not your calling, it's never going to be successful. So you're
Right.
going to sit here, you're going to wonder, why am I doing all these things and it's just not working out? I'm seeing all these other people doing it, it's working out for them. Why not me? It's
Mhm.
because it's not your calling. Just
Yeah.
because you're good at it doesn't mean that that's what God called you to do. That one thing that you're good at, that you're afraid of, that's what God calls you to do. And you think that it's not what you're meant for because you think, I don't have the credentials. I don't have this. I don't have that. God doesn't ever call people that got the credentials. He
Mhm.
equips you to do what you are called to do because it's a natural gift.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid of that. And don't be afraid if you see other people doing it because I love when other people are doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like you said, we met through Sade. She's a grief therapist. What I do is bring people to therapists. So what such a beautiful way that I met somebody that
Mhm.
that we're kind of doing the same thing, that we can
Right.
collaborate and help other people. That's the goal.
Yeah. No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. And I think that we as a people, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm not even going to sit here and tell a lie that we want quick fixes.
Yeah.
We want to see which thing that we're going to do is going to hit quickly.
Yeah.
And then we want instant gratification.
Mm.
And so, and then when we don't get that, then we start questioning God, we start questioning this and that,
Hmm.
instead of like taking a step back and figuring out, like, well, why didn't this work?
Yeah.
What could I have done better?
Yeah.
All of the things, all of the questions, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that can be a whole episode in itself. Mm, yeah. So, but okay, well, what does comfort look like in real life, as far as like habits, people, and routines? Like maybe something that you might recommend to your folks.
You have good comfort and bad comfort, right?
Okay.
Bad comfort is where you're kind of just in the same place all the time. Your life is kind of like a routine. You
Mhm.
get up, you get dressed, you go to work, you come home, you eat, you put on Netflix, maybe you scroll on social media. You do that for about 5 days. Then the weekend comes around. Maybe you have plans. Maybe there's something. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and figure this out. You're comfortable. You're
Mhm.
comfortable. It just makes sense. It's a routine. It's something that you're used to, but you're not stepping outside of the box. You're not challenging yourself. You're not trying new things. You're not going to new places and exposing yourself to that. Why? Because you're probably afraid. But
Mhm.
the only way to get out of that fear is to start making those things that are uncomfortable comfortable. You
Right.
start doing that. Break the routine. Maybe this today you have coffee, tomorrow you have tea. You have to get your body comfortable with being okay with doing different things differently. Because if you
Right.
get stuck in a routine, then you're going to get stuck in that place. And that's going to be your consistency.
Mhm.
Let your consistency be, I want to switch my perspective today. I want to switch my route today. I want to try a new food. I want to meet somebody new. A lot of us get stuck in that cycle and it feels like I'm successful because I'm comfortable. Nothing's going wrong. Everything's cool. I might need to change a carburetor or something,
Right.
but where is the change in your life? You know what's going to
Mm.
happen? You're going to be 60, 70, and you're going to be like, I've never done this. Or I've
Yeah.
not
The woulda,
talk
coulda, shoulda.
should have talked to some of these old people. That's
Mhm.
where I get a lot of my knowledge from. Talk to these old people. They will tell you when I was in my 20s or when I was in my 30s, I wish I
Mhm.
should have. A lot of people in my 16-week program are women that are older and they look back and they're like, I wish I paid attention to my healing. I
Right.
wish I took it more serious. I wish I didn't listen to the stigma of what other people were trying to tell me and I went to therapy or I did all these different things to heal myself. Don't wait until you're 60 or 70 to change your cycle.
Yeah, you actually made some good points that I want to highlight. And if we broke it down into generate from a generational standpoint,
Yeah.
the older generation, because I just recorded with someone talking about this, the older generation was very complacent in
Yep.
life, doing that
Mhm.
same old routine. But the newer generation, we're like, no, we gotta have some spice. We gotta do something. We
Yeah.
can't just sit here. And really, if you're doing what you say, like just in that same old routine, that's what can lead to depression. I mean, I'm no
Exactly.
clinical person.
No, you hit it.
I'm
You hit
not.
it.
But I feel like if you're, like you said, if you're not challenging yourself, like I've heard so many people, I'm like, well, you do a great job at work. And for me as HR, praising people and saying, well, why don't you try out for this, open position?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm fine. I don't
Where
want,
I'm at.
yeah, I don't want any extra responsibility. I don't want this. I don't want that. But what do you want? You know what I mean? So it's just like we wonder why sometimes people get depressed. And it's like, well, because we have nothing else going on in our life but that
Yeah.
same thing day to day. And then also while you were talking, I was thinking of women that are married,
Mm.
right? Some
Yeah.
women, it's not all women, because I
Right.
know I wouldn't be, but I'm not married. But I mean, I feel like in a marriage, you're dealing with your husband, maybe the kids and
Yeah.
everything, and you get just again complacent, and you're like, well, you could start to lose your identity
All of
because
that.
when you get married, you get comfortable with the man taking over the household and doing certain things, and it's like, well, what is there left for me to do but just serve my family? And it's like, no, there's a lot more life. God gave, just because you're a wife, God still
Mhm.
gave you talents,
All of that.
and
Yeah.
that's what we need to really tap into. Like, what are your talents? What's something that you all find as a talent that maybe you haven't told anybody, or maybe you haven't explored?
Mhm.
Drop it in the comments below too. And so,
Definitely.
yeah, but I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I was like, all right,
No, you hit.
I was like, let me try to remember all these points.
No, you hit it. I say, yup, yup.
Yeah. So, okay. Have you ever mistaken being comfortable for being okay?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think you do that every day. Like,
To be honest, it's a level of laziness that's attached to it. Let's
mm-hmm.
be honest about what it is. It's a level of laziness.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to healing, when it comes to fixing yourself, it takes work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not aesthetically pleasing. You have to want to do the work. That's why a lot of people are not, that's why they don't want to accept that other position. They're afraid to put the work in. And it's not that people are lazy per se. They might that is definitely a cover to it,
Mm-hmm.
but they're afraid that if they put the work in, it's not going to produce fruit.
Yeah.
When it's literally textbook, you
Mm-hmm.
put the work in, it produces fruit. But
Yeah.
you're afraid that if you put the work into this, it's not going to produce
But
fruit.
what about people that are afraid to put the work in because they know that it may succeed? They are afraid
Of success.
Yes.
They're afraid of it because they
Yeah.
don't know the fruit that's going to come with it. They don't know if am I going to have people that's going to support me once I become successful, or are the people that around me that are supporting me just going to be around for a good time and not a long time.
Right.
That's where it goes into trusting God. I have tried so many different things. I tried to be a content creator. I tried to be a graphic designer. I was an event planner for over 10 years. I started a nonprofit to help Black-owned businesses. I went and joined this and joined that. And I'm very creative. I know I'm super talented. None of those stuff worked. And every single thing, I was getting a lot of money and a lot of stress. It was just a cycle of depression. I'm helping everybody else, but I'm drained. And it's like, why? I'm chasing all these things that I'm not supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid of doing what I'm doing now because I said, I'm not a therapist. I ain't licensed. People gonna look at me like, you're not licensed. How do you think you can? Who cares? I trust God and I trust where he put me. And I know that no matter what I do, if he told me to do it, it's going to be successful.
Right.
They say that Christians are radical. I get it now. It is radical for me to do all these different things and still say, I'm going to go ahead and do this because God told me to. It's radical. I get it. But guess what? The fruits of the labor are going to be successful because God told me to do it. It's not what I want to do.
And we got to obey. How do you push yourself when you're already doing well enough? And I feel like that's a question that is also coming from people that are watching. So how would you respond to someone like that?
You can always be better. You can always be better. You can always get better. There's always more to learn. There's always more to do. There's even some of the simplest things. Today, I never knew, I never thought about this, but today I saw somebody that said that they're going to start, handwriting the Bible. I said, that's so cool. I love writing. I'm a Miss Note Taker. The only reason I don't have my notes now is because you're on the podcast, but I've been like taking notes, and I was like, I love taking notes. Sometimes I just want to write and I don't know what to write. Went in the comments. Apparently, a lot of people do this. They just don't advertise it. It's their quiet time with them and God where they can just write out, the verses, write the story, retain that inside of them. And so there are these little things that you can do that don't have to be for everybody else, that are going to be successful to you, that
Mhm.
are going to help you on your journey. That is going to be an accomplishment. I saw
Right.
people in there that was like, yeah, I wrote mine from 18 to 22 and I still have it. It's a huge accomplishment. It makes
Mhm.
you feel good to complete something.
No.
So you can always be better. There's never going to be a level of, okay, that's it. I got it. It's funny. There's always a story in the Bible for everything, right?
Right.
The man that came and he was like, "Oh, I'm successful. I got everything." What did he do? He packed it up in his storehouse. He said, "That's it." He packed it up, and then the next day he died. And then what happened? All of that went to waste. So if you know that I can always be better, I can always get better, use your success to maneuver the next generation,
Mhm.
mentor people, bring them up. It goes from I started doing here. I'm talking about doing here. I'm going to events and showing how to do people here. Now I'm teaching other people how to do their hair.
Right.
Now I'm showing other people how to open their own shops. Now I'm not even doing hair anymore because I'm so busy helping other people with what they're doing. You're creating a generation. That's generational wealth.
Yeah.
That's
And
how we do
residual
that
income.
for our
Yeah.
community. That's
Yeah.
how we do it. It's not
No, and I
about
think that
self.
people have forgotten about the power of mentorship.
Yes.
It's very important because nowadays, yes, you can learn a lot in school, of course, right? But some of those certain examples and those different trades and different I'm gonna say tips and tricks, that might not be the right phrase, but you gotta learn that from somebody that's been through it. And that's just like even for me with my Caregiver Compass Academy, it's
Yeah.
I'm teaching people about being a family caregiver based on like the trials and tribulations that I went, because I don't want them to make the same
Yeah.
mistakes. And so I want them to be able to have nothing's gonna be perfect, right? But
Right.
just having a better time with it, in the ebbs and flows of it all. So, and for me to answer this question, I was thinking, of short-term goals. You know,
Yes.
I nobody does that. I know when people think about goals, they talk about vision board. And I know nobody does the vision board. And last year, I think was the first time I did a vision board. And actually, it's
Really?
my screen. I did it electronically, so it's my screensaver for my iPad. So I look at
Oh.
that all the time. I've only accomplished about half of those, but I've gotten some things checked off, and that's all I can
Yes.
ask.
I love that. I love that.
So I think that, just challenging yourself, saying, oh, I'm gonna write some things down. Like this is what I do at work. I write myself a list of things on my post-it, and I say, okay, I'm gonna at least try to get some of these things done. Just trying to keep top on top of yourself and
Mhm.
what you're trying to do, and organize. I know it's hard, but again, things are not going to just come easy.
Yeah.
We have to put in some work for these things, and it is going to be uncomfortable again, but it's required.
And it's necessary.
Yeah. And so I think those two words, requirements and it being necessary, are very important for sure. So, what happens when the people around you don't want you to grow?
Yeah. We
And I
were
know
just
we had a episode around this, so we're going to get her take on this. Okay.
we were just talking about this in
Yep.
our 16 counseling group, and we was talking about boundaries.
Hmm.
Right now I have an extreme boundary on my family. Grief can bring out the ugliness side of people. It really can. So can unhealed trauma and religious hurt.
Hmm.
And with that, you have got to be real with yourself, be real with the people around you, and input those boundaries. Sometimes those boundaries include cutting them off. And sometimes those boundaries include limiting the conversation that you have, because there are some people in our lives, unfortunately, we cannot cut them out. They're tied to somebody or something that we have to deal with. You limit your responses with them. A lot of people like to talk too much. I know I'm talking a lot because I'm on a podcast,
Right,
but I
right.
promise you, if we are in a conflict, you will not get too many words from me. I'm very yes, no, okay. Because there's certain people where you can have a conversation with, right? If you start realizing that that conversation is not going to lead into something healthy, they are gaslighting you, they are making you start to think like, am I crazy? It's time to end the conversation. It's time to start limiting. You might need to bring a third party in to deal with the situation. And it doesn't need to be right now. People
Mhm.
need to start being comfortable with saying, I didn't like what you said. And I don't have a response right now. But when I do, I'll get back to you.
Right.
You can say that, you know, you don't got to say the first thing that comes to your mind. You can say, I don't have anything nice to say right now. Oh, you don't got nothing? No, I don't. And I don't want to argue, so I'll talk to you later. I had to tell one of my best friends that me and you cannot talk until you speak to a licensed counselor. She's like, oh, so are you saying that I'm crazy and you can't talk to me because this and that?
No, then they start putting words in your mouth. Mhm.
And that is why you limit the conversation. I didn't say anything after that.
Right.
Because you know what? No, that's not what I said. But it doesn't matter. Because even if I said that, you're not going to take it. But I know that when you speak to that licensed counselor and you'd be like, yeah, my friend said that I was crazy. And they're like, what did she actually say? Well, she said this. I'm like, oh, well, your friend didn't say that. She just wanted you. And guess what? I'm here with open arms to welcome you back.
Right.
But if I didn't do that and we sat there and we argued and I'm going back and forth with you, my arms ain't going to be open when you come back.
Right.
They're going to be folded.
Yeah. And it just would have been a lot of back and forth unnecessarily because, again, how is that going to help the situation, improve or whatever the case is? And again, that's leveling up and letting
go.
So, yeah, no, I love that. See how that ties in, you guys?
And I love her. I love her.
Yes. No, I get you. I think more of us do need to have those type of conversations because we are, a lot of times we listen to respond instead of listening to understand.
Yeah.
And I talk about that all the time at work. And uh, again, sometimes you need to step back to digest what was just said. So then you can go back. I've done that numerous times. And I'm like, oh, or I'll go read some text messages I've sent. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. I was like, well, yeah, you really shouldn't have said that, Sierra.
Well, you made me mad. So.
Yeah. We always just, when somebody gets on our nerves, we just want to snap right back.
That part.
Like, do you though? Is that really you? is that godly? Like, no. Love it. So, all right. So with that one, how do you move forward when growth feels lonely?
You're never lonely. If you feel lonely, then you don't love yourself. I'm sorry, but that is the truth of the matter because I'm never lonely. I know the feeling of being lonely. I felt that feeling before, I know what that feels like to be lonely, that you feel like you're alone, that nobody's around, that nobody's talking to you. And I'm not even talking about God is always with you because that's something we always know. But if you feel lonely, you do not love yourself enough. You should love yourself so much that you love spending time with yourself. You love to take yourself out. You love being alone with yourself and with your thoughts. You have to love that so much that loneliness is something that you crave. That's where it lies. You have to ask yourself, why don't I want to be alone? Why? Why don't you want to be alone with yourself? You came in this world alone. You want to be alone with yourself?
And that's people struggle with that. And for me, like people always say, well, why do you travel solo? Because I need to be alone with myself. Because and that's real talk. Like I really do because I need to have a one-on-one conversation with myself. It needs to be me in a boardroom. Okay, you got Cece, you got Sierra, you got all the
people.
different aliases, and we just gonna get together and we just gonna talk about what have we done so far.
Yeah.
What do we need to do?
Yeah.
Why we need to do it, and we're gonna heal, rejuvenate, and I like taking myself on solo dates.
I love it.
And a lot of people, they're not used to that. Like one of my friends, she just went on a solo trip to New York, and I asked, I said, well, how did you feel after? She was like, no, it was good. I enjoyed it. I said, would you do it again? She said, yeah. And that was her first time doing solo. It's like, again, you have to like step out.
You got to step out and do it.
Who cares who's looking at you? Because I guarantee you that person that's sitting there, looking at you or that you think is judging you has their own things going on, right?
Like, 9 times out of 10.
Exactly. So,
they're looking past you. You're just in the way.
Exactly. So like, no, girl, bye. Like, no. I'm telling you, I feel like, and if you don't want to be lonely, like, and you just take a step out, go sit at the bar and just like, if you don't want to have a table by yourself, put your earphones in, call your friends or something like that. At least you taking baby steps.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
That. So But
Yeah.
I know some people say that when they're growing, it does feel lonely at the top. And sometimes maybe it's defined to be that way because the
Yeah, it
people
is.
that you have around in your circle are not made to be at the top with you, and they are the
Nope.
ones that are slowing you down. And that's why
Yes.
you have to take, reset and reanalyze like who you have in your circle. Is it really helping you? Is it a detriment or is it actually a gift? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Discernment.
Yeah. So, okay. So, what version of you is waiting on the other side of discomfort?
Mm. The version that is completely and 100% ready to let go. I know that there are still small things that I have not let go yet. I can't even like name them right now, but I know that they're there. I can feel them holding me back.
Mhm.
Um and when they do come to light, I'm ready to like address them as they are. And I've started to see it a little bit with just all the different things that I do, with the comparison, letting go of the comparison, letting go of the need to feel like, well, all these things that I did before should be like this now. When you're stepping into ministry and into your nonprofit, and when you're saying you're doing something for God, you have to remember that He's a CEO. And I'm moving into a level of complete and total trust in Him. It's weird, it's different. I'm so used to taking control of everything and then going to Him when it all failed and Him fixing it.
Right.
And so being in a space now where I'm like, I'm doing this with you from the beginning, it feels weird. It feels very weird, but it's also a little scary because it's just like, whoa, God, you're really doing your big one. I didn't expect this, or I didn't expect that, or look at how you're connecting this, or look at how you're connecting that. So there is a level of letting go and trusting God and allow Him to move for you. Because once He gives you that gift and He equips you, He will bring people. You will sit there shook and amazed at what He's gonna do with your gift, the gift that He gave you.
No, and even with the monthly theme, and hopefully I'm not repeating myself because I do hate to repeat
It's okay.
myself,
They need
but
to hear it a couple
yeah, they might
times.
need to hear it a couple times. And so, earlier this year, I actually got laid off. And one of my friends always tells me, like, oh, you always have issues because you're made to be a boss. Although I'm very good at what I do and whatnot. I always coin myself the phrase of the cleanup woman when I go into an organization as HR. So, and I'm like, okay, girl, I know that, but I don't have time for that. I need steady income. I got
Yeah,
to take care of my grandmother. I
yeah,
need this. I need that. And so my business has just been on the side. But what I noticed is once I got laid off and, I got through that and I kept telling myself, like with the severance, like, okay, I just need to get that off. Like
yeah,
I needed to get, I'm over it. Like again, in order for me to level up, I got to let it go.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't think about the woulda, coulda, shoulda, of what happened, why it happened, and all this jazz. But I noticed that when that did happen, got more doors started opening up. I've started my caregiving coaching business. People, were in anticipation of that, and I crowned the next queen for Miss Corporate America,
oh,
Maryland,
that's amazing.
and but it's like the way when I first got crowned last year, it took slow because nobody really knew about Miss Corporate America. So laying that foundation. Now people are coming to me to ask me about, doing speaking engagements and
Yes.
wanting to be on my podcast and things like that. But it's like again, I had to let some things
Yep,
go. I just
yep.
like I don't really want to use this example, but it's the first thing that comes to my mind. But like a snake, don't they say the snake sheds this new,
Oh,
the old
yeah, the
skin to get
old
ready for the new skin?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's what I feel like I'm doing. I feel like I'm just shedding it
Shedding.
all, and I am, open and ready. And I that's what I say in my talks with God.
Yep,
Like I'm open and ready because I know that you're going to equip me with what I need to do what I
yep,
have to do.
yep.
And so I feel like that God just this is my level up year. If you believe in astrology, I know they say this the year of Sagittarius. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's your
Clock
year.
that. Yes, stop. But yeah. So, but that's how, again, I could have sat there and continued to work 70 hours a
Yeah,
week and, still been tired and exhausted and not really, doing the business the way that I would want to do it.
mhm.
But I'm like, I don't have any regrets because again, I know that things are going to be taken care of.
Definitely.
So, and I love that for me. And it made me, when I was just talking about this, I thought about another question. When you moved into ministry, I'm sure some people, as you grew into that, okay.
Yes, I already know what you're gonna
Yeah.
ask.
So, all right. Well, like how, I again, I'm sure you had to shed some people or shed some things, but I guess talk about that transition because I know that that
Oof.
was uncomfortable, but it was necessary and
Yeah.
all of the things, all of the keywords that we said here today. So I'm just gonna shut up and let her talk about her
No.
story since she already read my
Um,
mind.
no, it actually happened in a very uncomfortable but beautiful way.
Mhm.
When I first started the organization, I came to Maryland and I was trying to make friends. And so I went online, I joined one of those friend groups on Facebook, and the events that they were doing, everything was like $99 and up. And I'm just like, I just moved here, I ain't got no money, but I wonder if there's other people in the group that would like to do stuff and they can't afford it. So I offered to do like game nights and I'd reach out to other people to see if I could host it there. After the first, second, and third event, like everything was going great. I was going viral in the group and everything was like doing. I was following all the rules. And then I woke up one morning, I was blocked and banned. And I said, whoa, whoa.
Oh wow.
I reached out, I asked, I said, hey, did I do anything wrong? And they're like, well, you can't have events and have ask people to pay money. And I said, but you guys are doing that. And my stuff is like a potluck. If I ask them to pay $20 or $25, it's to go towards drinks or whatever, just so that they can just show up and have fun. They didn't want that. They wanted to be able to corner that market, even though this is a friendship group. And I remember just kind of crying and calling one of my friends and saying, girl, I don't know what I just, girl, I have a whole venue space. Start your own group. You already got people, this, that, and the third. So I got people. We started our group. I had 10 people. We were doing events every month for people. We was doing all this stuff. And then it was like we were showing up and we were like venting to each other. And so I was like, there needs to be more to this. Um, and then my brother got murdered.
Mm. I'm
And
sorry to
I
hear that.
said, okay, God, what do you want me to do now? Because I want to crash out.
Right.
That's all I want to do right now. You already took my mom. It's supposed to be just me and my brother. Now I'm ready to crash out. What do you want me to do before I crash out? He said, you know that group that you started? He said, I want you to turn that into a ministry and I want you to help women. And I said, how? He said, don't worry, I'll show you. I
Mhm.
didn't want to wait for him to show me. I started writing out a business plan and doing all these different things and da 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 da. When I say I wrote that business plan out 4 or 5 times, then God spoke to me and came back and I had to rewrite it and rechange it. And then he said, turn it into a nonprofit and do this and do that. I started reaching out and found I went to like a retreat, started telling people about the idea, went online. I reached out, I found out an organization who interviewed me, came in, gave me my 501c3, took me to a spiritual leadership retreat. Everything was working. I was getting so excited to tell my 10 people, right?
Mhm.
Hosted a whole Friendsgiving. No, it was like a Friendsgiving or Christmas dinner, one of those things. Decorated my little apartment, invited all of them, made all these booklets and business plans and everything ready to share with them. And so I'm sharing with them. And I had just met a new friend a week ago. Her name is Tina. I met her a week ago and I was telling her about what I was doing. And I said, hey, why don't you come to my house so you can meet some new people since you just moved here? Mind you, I just met this girl. But God said invite her. So I invited her. We're sitting at the table. I'm giving everybody the business plan. I was like, I got exciting news. I'm telling them how I turned the organization to 501c3, the new name, the new color scheme, the new everything. And then the room went silent. And I started getting nervous. I said, I'm a very transparent person. So let me know like what you guys think about it. There were a couple different things. A lot of, there was somebody that didn't agree with me using Jesus a lot. They wanted it to just, there was like, well, it should just be about God. A lot of people don't agree with Jesus. So if you use that, it can turn people off. There were some people that where they're like, I support you, but this kind of feels a little bit too churchy for me. That's not really my thing. There was just like a lot of these different, there was somebody who was flat out was just like, Selena, I love you and I love God, but I was just doing this for fun. Like this seems too much for me. I started crying. I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I ruined everything. I feel like I just wasted my time doing all of this. And my friend Tina, who I just met a week ago, kind of stepped in and was just like, you know, I know I just met you guys, but I don't agree. Jesus should always be included when we're talking about God. And if people don't agree with that, then we explain it to them. But I don't think that we ever need to take it out. And then, my other friends was like, Selena, no, you're doing this. Like, don't stop what you're doing just because we're not here. I'm sorry. They said, don't stop what you're doing just because we can't do it with you.
Right.
Keep going. And I was just like, all right, thank y'all so much. And I kept going. And out of the 10, only one stayed with me. Tina, she's still here with me. And my other friend, Sherry, she's still here with me. A year after that, the ministry launched. We had our first event. People were impacted. Some of the women came to support that event. I still talk to them. I still invite them when we have stuff going on. And now we're getting ready for our second event, and I have 20 plus partners for this event. 20 plus, and it's growing. I sit down every day and I think about the moment when I was ready to just give everything up.
Right.
Moments, because it happened so many times. And I thank God that I have people around me. Even if they didn't stay, they still encouraged me because they saw the vision. They were even honest to say, hey, I see your vision. I cannot align, but it's great. Keep going. I met a person a week ago who God said, bring them. I didn't even know I needed that extra, a little bit of backup, I guess I'll call it, to just kind of like remind me about my own spirituality. I was ready to limit how I wanted to share God because I wanted to please people.
Right.
And I had somebody there to remind me of what it's supposed to be. And so this is just to tell people that sometimes you're going to come up, not sometimes, you're going to come up with a great plan. You're going to bring it to people and they're going to say no. That does not mean you failed. That does not mean that what you created is horrible. That does not mean that you need to give up. That means you keep going until God sends the people.
Tell the people.
Keep going. God will send you people. God will send you all the things that you need for the things that you want to do. Just trust in him and never, ever give up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got emotional.
No, but but it's a good emotional because you're passionate about what you do and it shows. And, we love that for you. We love that, it's growing and, you manifested it and look at it. Like you said, you have your second event coming up. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And, I hope that, people kind of follow in your footsteps and, you can do that in more states and more areas. So it's not just Maryland. It can, keep going. That's just awesome.
Definitely. Healing is needed for everybody. I mean, I focus more in on women only because women are they're a good influence for men. Right. So if a healed woman is with, an unhealed man, either we're going to help you out or we're going to leave you and you're going to keep remembering what I said to you. So
no, but that I like that right now. Yeah.
So I focus more on women, but I realize that healing takes work. There's also a level of fear. There's also like all these different things. So I try to create a space, a room, a healing room where you can come and meet providers, where you can do workshops and learn these different things, where you have licensed people that can sit down and say, actually try this or do this, or here's my card, or let's do a 15-minute consult. Talk to somebody because you might think that what you're going through is unfixable, but there's nothing too small.
No, I think that a lot of us walk around, with this like cover on us and think that like we are healed, we are good, like, oh, I got over it. I said what I had to say and that's just it. But, in my I think it was second season, we talked a lot about trauma. And you think that you are putting that trauma in the closet, but you don't realize how it's manifesting in other ways and keeping you down. And because you're not properly healed, you have not truly dealt with it. And like I said, I think what you're doing is amazing, putting all of that in one space. So because that's a barrier that people come up with.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't know who to call.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know I needed that. Or oh, this and that.
I got you.
Yeah, like you got it all in one. All right. So yeah, I'm just saying it's all in one. And if she can't help you, she's gonna find somebody for you that can help you.
Yes.
I'm just saying. Okay. So let's see. So I would say to close up, well, kind of close up. What's one uncomfortable step someone can take this week?
Take yourself out on a date. If you don't got money, take yourself to the park. You will be the cheapest date or the most expensive date to yourself.
Yeah.
But treat yourself this week. Buy yourself. Go somewhere. I want you to feel that uncomfortable feeling. I want you to sit there and feel like other people are looking at you. Then I want you to look around and see that no one's looking at you. Then enjoy your time.
If they looking at you, that's because they say you cute.
Right. Say good morning. Like, hi, how you doing? I always
Yeah.
wave to people when they look. They're like, hi. They're like, oh, hi. They're like, who's this girl? I'm always like, don't look at me.
Yeah. You're so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, with that, the bottom line is, like Selena said, to really grow and get where you need to be, you really do have to take yourself out of that comfort zone.
Yeah.
I know, again, a cliche saying. I feel like I'm always coming up with the cliche sayings, but they are cliche sayings because they do have some truth to it. And, that's the only way that you can level up. And so, take yourself out on that date, or if you have any solo date ideas, make sure you drop that in the comments as
Please.
well. And Selena, I appreciate you,
Of
being
course.
vulnerable and taking the time out to be on my podcast today. And I just want you to share with the viewers, how can they reach you if they want to know more about your journey or more about your programs and all the different things that you have going on?
Oh, definitely. You can find us on Instagram at inspired.her.collective. We're also online on inspirehercollective.org. And then as for the event, we're on Instagram at She Heals Official.
Awesome. And all of that will be down here below. So make sure that you follow her and give us a thumbs up and let us know that you have. And again, until next time, don't forget to like, comment,